So, welcome to a special edition of Into the Abyss. I'm Kevin Lucia, Chuck Briar. We just got out of Gretel and Hansel, and I wanted to make a point of getting that right. We were talking about that we don't call it Hansel and Gretel, we call it Gretel and Hansel. So we're going to give you our recommendations, our feelings about the movie. I'll start off by saying that it's visually very striking. Okay?
Cinematography is
absolutely. I had feelings of The Witch, but this is gonna sound weird, more colorful in a way. Okay,
sometimes a Guy Ritchie type feel to it.
Yeah. So there's much more. The Witch was wonderfully shot and paced, but it was very, very gray, very drab, which I think it was part of the film. This was very vibrant. A lot of color use, a lot of those nice gothic overtones. I do have to say, the soundtrack was really. I kept thinking, this sounds like Stranger Things.
What you said, I agree.
Which lent an interesting dimension to the film.
Synthetic 80s film.
Exactly, yeah. So I really, really like that. Chuck, what are your thoughts?
No, I agree. As for the movie itself, we were I think we were both torn coming out of it. There were some things I liked about it.
There's a lot to like here.
It's an interesting one. I would say it may not be something that's for everybody, but it's something to at least give it a shot. Maybe not in theaters either, in my opinion is. But it's something that at some point, it's interesting to watch.
Yes,
but what were your thoughts on it specifically?
So I really think that once we get out into the woods, okay, and once we get out to the woods and we find the witch, I think that's where it's at its strengths.
And that takes a while. There's been some critique about the movie being a slow build-up, and I actually would agree.
I am always a little hesitant. Our co-host, Tom McDonough, who couldn't be with us today, he always jokes that I'm the nice one, and I take it easy on movies, which I kind of do. I am. But I will say that I felt like the first leg of it, parts of it felt a little contrived. Like they were plot devices that were... And also, let's keep in mind, this is an expansion of a folk tale. Okay, so people kind of already know where this is going to go, but a lot of the beginning stuff felt very contrived, simply to get them out on their own. And I get it. I'm not going to give away any plot deals or details or things like that, but some of those elements just struck the wrong note with me. Once we get out in the woods and the witch is there, and Alice Creed, who I remember her most as the Borg Queen from that Star Trek movie. She does a great job and is wonderfully done once we get out there. It feels a little clumsy to start with.
Yeah, and I think contrived is a good word. The word that came to my mind when I was watching it was confused. Okay. There's a lot, especially in the first half, that it felt like they had an idea, but it just maybe hadn't been developed enough.
Yeah.
I mean, the first scene that's meant to be for scares, I literally laughed. It was very contrived in setting it up, and then once they kind of get to the scare moment, it didn't work.
Yeah.
It felt like they needed a little bit more into this one, maybe another go on the script or something like that. There was just some stuff that just didn't connect. The second half is a bit more confused, but actually in a good way. It's very trippy.
Surreal.
It's very surreal.
Yes.
That's actually the better half of the film. It's more interesting.
Yeah.
So, honestly, the first third of it, I could do without.
I mean, we're talking about kid protagonists, so like...
It has sometimes a YA feel to it.
Yeah, and also, too, there's how logical are kids going to be, but there are some choices that were made where I was just like, really? Again, kids are on their own, they're not going to make great choices, and that's always that line between artistic and verisimilitude and things like that, but just in the beginning, a lot of decisions were made where I was just like, that seems like that was written there specifically to make this next thing happen.
And I think there's another element that you see this. Anytime something is contrived, it usually means the writer hasn't done enough to hide themselves. Like you're seeing the writer's pen too much into the film, as well as the theme. I think the theme came, I wouldn't say heavy-handed. I don't think that's usually a problem. It's when the soapbox is there, the soapbox is there. Like you can almost see it just off camera.
Yeah.
Instead of incorporating it into the film, and even if it's heavy-handed, that's still good. But when you can kind of tell, like, this is the moment that we're supposed to hear something, then it kind of falls flat. And again, it feels contrived. It feels like it's all just a performance to get to this moment.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. So I think there was some stuff, especially in the first half, where they didn't incorporate the script into the cinematography enough, and so you feel that, and that's where you kind of feel a little bit dry.
Yeah. And I'm gonna, at a risk, what's your name again?
Sophia Lillis.
I didn't buy her performance. I'm sorry. That sounds awful.
The movie itself, it's inconsistent, and nowhere is it more inconsistent than in the accents. Not just from Sophia, but other characters as well.
At the very least, it seemed like everyone else was speaking in
trying to.
That vague European-ish, Middle Ages
Everyone's
tale.
British for some reason.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, if it's the folklore, these folktales come from Germany and things like that, so that's what they usually... So everyone has this accent except for her, and she sounds like Beverly from It. Like, never once is there even an attempt for her not to sound like a Midwestern American girl. And unfortunately, that... I struggled with that a little.
Yeah, I noticed it pretty much instantly. I mean, there's very early in the film, there was a monologue from her, and I noticed it right from the first monologue.
You're like, yeah.
Okay,
I was actually almost thinking, wait a minute, is this a modern movie? For a minute, I was thinking, oh, they fooled us. This is a movie told in modern times, but then it wasn't.
Yep. And so that's what it is. I know we've been critical of this one. I think there are things to pick apart here. There are some issues, but I think even with that, I don't think it'll be for everyone, but I think there's going to be a lot of people who find things to like in this film.
And I do have to say, once we get past the rather clumsy start, once they get in the woods, I thought the part where they ate the shrooms and they kind of tripped out a little bit, like Midsommar style, that was kind of fun. Yep. But once they get out there in the woods and they find, the witch in her house, I thought that was great. That part was all great. And the movie ended in a way...
no spoilers, don't get spoilers.
No spoilers, but there's a final scene where it seems like everything's all...
It takes you a surprise.
Yeah, I like the way I definitely like it. Yeah, so our overall recommendation is...
Okay.
Good movie. There's a lot here to like.
Yeah.
A lot here to like, so...
If you're just looking for something to watch, especially when it comes out on streaming and stuff, if you're interested in it, I know there's been a lot of interest in it from a feminist perspective.
Yes, yep,
and
absolutely.
It's there. That tone is definitely there.
And it's less forced once you're into the action.
Yes.
The soapbox is a little visible early in the movie, but once we get out there in the woods, it seems like an actual part of the story.
It wasn't the theme itself, it was just the delivery of the theme.
Yes,
I had some issues with.
Right.
But once you get out there, it's an interesting film. If that sounds like it's of interest to you, if you like something that's a little bit slower, quieter, and very atmospheric, this might be worth watching. Give it a shot. It's a shorter film too, so give it a shot, especially if once it comes out in streaming and stuff. It's interesting to watch, and it's an interesting movie.
Absolutely. So that's our recommendation for Gretel and Hansel. All right, have a good one.
See ya.